Lydia Black, and I'm going to be informing you guys about periodical cicadas. To start, periodical cicadas are just one of many types of cicadas. They're different from annual cicadas in their brood and emergence year. Periodical cicadas will emerge every 13 or 17 years, whereas the annual cicadas are every year. There are 12 broods that emerge every 17 years and 3 broods that emerge every 13 years. Typically, cicadas are found in eastern North America, so they'll move all the way down the coast, all the way through like Louisiana and up into New York. Looking at the cicada lifespan, the female cicadas will deposit their eggs shortly before they die on the tree branches, and from that, these cicadas will hatch, and within 6 to 10 weeks, they'll fall to the ground, and then they'll burrow about 30 centimeters underground. At this point, they'll feed off of the xylem, which is the tree root system. This way, they can get all of their nourishments and nutrients. And then at that point, they'll stay underground, feeding off of that for either 13 or 17 years, depending on their brood. And then when the ground temperature exceeds 64 degrees Fahrenheit on the year of emergence, they'll emerge at that point, and they'll go through that whole life cycle again. Looking at the life stage, periodical cicadas will have a nymphal stage, which is when they first hatch and then they're living under the ground. They'll then go through the shedding of their exoskeleton. And this can be seen down here in the bottom. It's a hard covering, and the adult cicada will emerge from that. They'll be white and like a soft, squishy texture for about 2 hours once they emerge from that exoskeleton. At that point, they'll turn black and their wings will harden up and they'll expand, which then they become the cicada that we know today. Looking at species, the species will differ based on several things. Cicada song being one of them. This is something that has to be studied specifically though, because it's not something we can hear by ear technically. And then the species will differ based on their brood, so if it's a 13 or 17 year brood. And then you can see down here in this picture, their body types differ. So there'll be different body lengths as well as different sizes as far as like the width, and then the coloring of the stomach will be different. It can be orange, it can be black, it can be a combination, and also an orange piece can be seen behind the eyes. Looking at the sex of a cicada, they can be determined several different ways. The top picture is the picture of a female. The female is typically pointed towards the bottom for the abdomen. Also, the females will typically weigh more than a male cicada will. Male cicada is going to be rounded, and it will have a longer abdomen, and they have ribbed tymbals behind their wings, so if you remove a wing, you can actually see spots on the first section of the abdomen. Deformities can occur in cicadas for several different reasons. First, overcrowding is one reason. If the cicadas are touching something or touching one another, when they emerge from that exoskeleton, they aren't able to expand and harden like they're supposed to. So that's when we see wing deformations, where it looks like they're missing half of the wing or their wings were crinkled. Also, they believe that lawn chemicals can cause some of these deformities as far as the pesticides and fertilizers that are being used. So what makes cicadas interesting are they are promising bioindicators. We are able to look at the soil chemistry and determine what's present within looking at the trace metals in a cicada. The overall composition of a cicada is the same, but the trace metals are different. So are we going to see lead, or are we going to see arsenic? Are we going to see some kind of rare earth metal? And they'll only travel about 50 meters from their original site of emergence, which makes them interesting as a bioindicator. If we look at specific areas of interest, the Greater Cincinnati brood is brood 14. It's a 17-year brood, and they emerged in 2008. When analysis was done on brood 14 cicadas, it was found that low levels of lead were present, as well as a few rare earth metals. If we look here, Louisiana brood 22 is actually in the process of emerging right now. We're hoping to be able to see through research that This brood 14 will be different from brood 22 based on looking at the differences in the trace metals. And showing here, because we were trying to track when cicadas are going to emerge, there's a graph showing that at 64 degrees Fahrenheit, the threshold temperature is where we hope to see an emergence. This emergence has not yet been seen fully yet, although the estimated soil temperatures have well exceeded 64 degrees Fahrenheit.